I'm looking at my formulas from 2 years ago. Good Lord, they're a mile long and they don't need to be.
Yeah,
But
we can do
I've
this.
been thinking about,
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. What are you thinking about?
I've just been thinking that I've seen, I think there's a way to sell a sheet that does scheduling and payroll. In this case, I submitted hours to the accountant, so I didn't actually do the taxes and all that sort of stuff. The dispatch department used it every day and it ended up working quite well. But I just know it needs tweaking because it was so company specific and that it became kind of unwieldy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that does make sense, and maybe why you haven't sold it yet. There is sort of this premonition, right, that we can, if something is good for us, or we've put a lot of like quote unquote labor or creative labor or actual hours into it, creating formulas, making it simple, or not making it simple, but making it useful, and then we might not have simplified it yet. And so in looking at a Google Sheet that's in our drive that we may not use all the time, like we've used it, it's actually a totally fine feeling to have that you're like, okay, this is a little messy, it's unwieldy. Will people buy this? You have some experience, and I want to get to this sooner than later, but to set sort of context for anyone listening, that you sell Google Sheets already, but you sell them in the aviation world, right?
Yeah.
And so you have
Now,
a Gumroad page, you have it, it's very clearly for pilots. Just give me a little bit of snapshot of that and why that you're selling. Maybe it'll inform us of what we need to do to get this other sheet ready.
yeah, so you started at flight school with a paper log, and then I that was flying, and then I got into aviation, and that's when my love of Google started. And then at one point, I looked at the logbook and went, "It's just a spreadsheet. We're still doing this on paper." So I started making three, and ultimately, I made a logbook that used the same as paper, but then created a dashboard that I could do interviews. And I've done this where I handed my phone to the chief pilot, well, here's me. And it would tell the entire story of what I am. And look at that and go, here's who this pilot, is this pilot isn't. Like I'm not an airline pilot, I'm a pilot. And you could see that it's all right there. And it just made my life so much simpler. So I started with one, and then I had a client say, look, applying for the airline transport license, asking for weird times. Could we tweak this so it would,
Mhm.
my calculations easier to do? So I made that one. And then he kept giving me so much good feedback, I created a whole new logbook for that. And then um, since then, YouTube been my best channel. I get random emails from around the world with requests. Yeah, I'm doing my training in the US, something that follows the regulations of both. And I'm not saying I'm a lot of sales the way I'm doing it. I haven't. One is effort. Two is I haven't found quite the social media channels that I think will grab people. And then there's the road versus Etsy. Etsy just seems one, but there seems to be a lot of people doing well with spreadsheets on. So I that's why I'm intrigued by your offer because it's sort of I know I've got some content. I'm not sure how to get the word out, and I'm not sure like how to and all that sort of stuff. So that's why yours intrigued me.
Yeah, this is so interesting because you have already the experience of creating a sheet for yourself, then selling it to others and successfully selling it. Like there is one thing to like have a sales page, quote unquote, selling it, and but then have buyers is completely different. And then those buyers ended up being the impetus to then create more in that same world, which is to me what like feels better, like when you can just keep creating more and more sheets for the same group of people because of two issues. One, that you don't really want to spend much on paid marketing. So to get into other people's worlds, you need word of mouth by far, like over and above, you need the word of mouth. But two, it it builds trust and authority that you've built and sold something, and then you can, it almost doesn't matter what you make next because you've built your trust and authority. When you create a new sheet for a new audience, it's hard to start from zero again.
Mm.
It's really important to like be focused on that story. I think so. I think that story is great. I am a pilot. I made this because I was tired of writing it out, and you then used Google Sheets to its absolute maximum of efficiency, it wasn't just a one-to-one, hey, I'm doing this digitally then rather than on paper. Oh, I can now take all of this data and make something new that I literally could not do with paper. I hand it over, or I share that file with new instructors, anyone who's I'm dealing with. I'm trying to communicate what is all of this stuff. And as you said, it's the snapshot of who you are as a pilot. That story is so good, and that story resonates because people buying it are going to be literally you 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, what's been frustrating is those who use it get super excited. A lot of them have never really manipulated
Mhm.
before, and it's not just any data; it's their data. And some they start asking me to do more, such as, okay, can we calculate how many times I've been to this one particular airport? I said, how about we do your airport in your logbook that automatically calculates as you add more, and then they get, you know what I mean? It's exciting, to work one on one with these people. I don't. It's not the definition of scalable. It's one on one, but at the same time, it's pretty damn fun to work with.
Right. And so I think that what you just said there, right? The last words, right? It's so much damn fun is like sounds orthogonally like 180-degree difference than, hey, I made this sheet for payroll. They're like those two words are not like if you had earlier,
Yeah.
but like the problem was, hey, I got the sheet, I might want to sell it. If you had told me, oh my God, I gamify payroll. I love scheduling now. I figured out the like essence
Mm,
of it. I'd be like, all right,
right.
let's jump into this. Let's actually like, okay, what are you doing and how are you showing the 10xing, and are we gonna make it more
Mm.
user friendly? But like that didn't come across at all.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Well, there we go. Yeah, the logbook story is way better, and yeah,
And
yeah,
And now, I mean, I'm not precluding, right? I'm not saying the decision is done,
yeah.
like you'll never work on it again. But if you can go back to it with this sort of feeling, or want this feeling, right? Okay, what about scheduling sucks? What about it is doing A, B, C? And can I
Mm,
fix it?
right.
Like one weird thing about Google Sheets is that people over overrate formulas. They're like, okay, I've built a lot of formulas, and these formulas were very hard to figure out. And they are. Like I'm not saying they're not hard to figure. They are hard to figure out. Unfortunately, the way that formulas are, because they're like a single cell, that means that if you it doesn't matter how much it took you to figure it out, it is still the one cell versus like this easy formula to do to figure out is exactly the same. It's one cell. Whereas if you're like, hey, I figured out this algorithm and created this app script that does these three things and has these triggers, like, yeah, like that's sort of ideally it's the same, like, oh, it's one app script. I can copy paste that one app script. But it feels and acts completely differently. It is different than just doing formulas. If you had said, oh, I designed a new user interface where, oh, before the spreadsheet was being filled in this particular way, and I figured out, oh, the way that people actually could fill it out more efficiently is if they did these two steps first. Then I'd be like, oh my God, okay, like now that's a sheet got a story
Yeah,
to
right.
tell. It has some creative element to it. Again, formulas are still creative, but just that's the sort of the weirdest best way I can describe it, is that all formulas are created not created equally, but they're rated equally. You know,
Yeah, right.
is there a better way to say that?
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm still kind of rethink. You're right, because yeah, I created scheduling that I needed at work, but and I think it looked pretty and everyone used it, but it doesn't quite have the story that the logbooks do. And I haven't even talked about the side work. The word of mouth in a small community is
Mhm.
so big. One person led to 40 clients. I'm not kidding, because they're all
Mhm.
kind of old retiring pilots, know they need to streamline the operation.
Mhm.
Too small to build the out or to use the out of box software, which is really, really expensive, but they're too big to use paper. And then they got mine. So I started making these sheets. Everything is calculated for them, and it kind of went hog wild. So the word of mouth is huge, but it's within these tiny, tiny, very specific communities.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, yeah, you've said this a few times, and I can sort of agree with you, but I wonder what the real number is. Like, could you spend 30 minutes to 180 minutes, like actually figuring out how many new pilots are trained? Like, there's probably some data somewhere of like number of pilot certificates issued per year.
Yeah,
And
it's I'm in Canada, so it's a little bit smaller, but it's a lot. Like all the flight schools I see around here are booked solid, and that's just Canada. Then there's the US, and then there's Australia, and then there's New Zealand. They're very, very similar industries
Mhm.
and similar types. I've seen the logbooks of almost all of them, and they're so similar.
Wait, so you've
So I
only
mean, I
done
know
it for
the
the Canada?
lately I've been doing American ones, and again, just
Mm.
emails out of based on YouTube clips of saying, I just got a new pilot entering the U.S. Army ground school in Alabama. He wants a logbook because he wants to go in the airlines. The military is going to take care of his military training, but he wants something when he leaves the military to take to the airlines. And he's come across me, so I'm making him something bespoke. And it's there's differences that are important, but they're really not that important. You're basically still just calculating time, and that's it. It's a
So
spreadsheet.
do you want to talk about how to maximize these kinds of sales to get more, or figure out more
Definitely.
sheets to sell them? Would you rather like talk about that for the next few minutes?
I would say maximize, because the format, I, I think I'll have to make one that's an FAA format, a Transport Canada format, one for New Zealand, one for Australia, but they're so similar that that's an
Mhm.
hour's work max. So then once those are done, then it's all scalable, because it's for a whole country. You know what I mean? Um,
Have you done
so yeah, definitely.
SEO on your website yet? Do you have Google Search Console installed?
I don't, but that is, see, this is why I'm taking notes.
So what we can do now, let me take a look. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. We can just do this right now. Hrefs. I have a Href so don't worry about, you don't have to buy it now, but
Okay.
what we can do is look at Site
Oh, great.
Explorer. This is your site, right? wildblueaviation.ca. And then we can see you have a domain rating of 0, unfortunately. I'm not much better. I have
Well,
30.
that's not good.
So this is interesting. Your only organic keywords are Wild Blue aircraft and Wild Blue packages, which is your name, like Wild Blue, right?
Hmm, interesting. Okay.
Whoops.
I have been concerned that my website is sort of a dog's breakfast of a bunch of things. I just keep putting things up there so it doesn't feel focused.
Do you have, why can't I not get to it? Oh, so that might be an issue too, is do you have to do www dot before it? So your
Oh,
HTTPS, this isn't working, but
okay.
www dot before it works. So let's see if, I don't know if that would change things. No? It's the same site. Okay. So yeah, let's look at Keyword Explorer, Pilot Logbook. You should be ranking for this. Digital, look, you got Pilot Log. Oh my God. This is great. Pilot Logbook. Let's look at what the Pilot Logbook and Digital Pilot Logbook. Let's see what those searchers. My Pilot Log. Is this the
Yeah.
expensive software
No, the ForeFlight is
or Flight?
ForeFlight 10 Pro. Those are the expensive softwares.
This is so easy to rank for because this my pilot log is a domain rating 3. So this is going to be very easy to rank for. Even though this keyword difficulty is 30, I think this will
Yeah.
be here's an Excel, someone doing it in Excel, you're doing it in Google Sheets. This will be very easy to rank for. You should be able to do this within like, well, because you don't have Google Search Console yet, like sooner than later, you'll be able to do this.
Yeah, that Excel pilot log, he's a Kiwi airline pilot who just, it's kind of the same, similar process to mine, I think, one, and then people started asking for other things. I know people, I've actually seen his work and it's fine. I got inspired by what he was trying to do, and then I've made a,
Sorry, I missed the last part. You tried you
oh,
tried
he had a print page, but it doesn't really work very well. I made something that you can print to the regulator for a license application. The problem, if you send for a license application, they usually logbook, but then you're worried that you're going to lose my log, all of my information in it. And
Mhm.
so I made it so you can print a copy and then just never worry about it ever again. You upload your signature, dates, everything. It sort of does it all automatically.
Interesting.
And people have used it and gotten their licenses that way, and it saved them a ton of grief.
So is that, I mean, it is, this is totally like overall very low volume, but not really. Like you got 800 keywords here. You got Pilot
Mm-hmm.
Logbook app, ASA Pilot Logbook. Is that aviation supplies and academic?
Yeah, yeah, that's it. They're just a big company.
Yeah. So like even a keyword like that being keyword difficulty 0 and there are a few people actually signing up for it, I
Jesus.
would write like a little blog post somewhere. I don't know if you have, yeah, you have a blog. What are you using for this blog?
It's about teaching baby pilots how to get their, but I'm moving all that into an honor, so I definitely can.
Sorry, what are you using to write on, like, write these? WordPress?
Actually, no, this is just a Google site.
Google site. So are you able to add
Yep,
more pages easily?
absolutely.
Like this is coming soon. This is probably not very good to have just coming soon. I would write actual blogs and write these things, these stories that you were saying, like, oh, like even though the guy has Excel logbook, I would write about that. Hey, I checked out this Excel logbook. I didn't like, and make a like a 300 to 500 word. If you can do 800 words or add some kind of about me section, but write about, hey, you can do this in Excel, but I do it in Google Sheets and here's why. And if you have 5 to 6 reasons and each one of those is about 50 to 100 words, nice little introduction, call it like why I use Google Sheets and not Excel to run my pilot logbook. That's something you should be able to write within a half a day or even
Easily, easily.
like a nice Sunday coffee. And then go through all of these keywords and just write whatever is like on the top of your mind, like that you would, because you are the person 2 years ago, right, that would have read this and wanted to know something. So like this best electronic pilot logbook, you're gonna know the story. You're gonna be like, okay, here's like 3 or 4 examples of how you use paper. Here's one example of how you use paper. Here's 2 or 3 examples of how you use these very expensive softwares. Again, 50 to 100 words on each one. But I found that the best electronic pilot logbook is actually being done in Google Sheets, and I made my own. And here's why I think mine is the best electronic pilot logbook, right? 2, I just used the key term best electronic pilot logbook in 2 sentences very organically.
Right.
And just write
Okay.
whatever's on top of your mind. Like you have your story, you have the expertise and the experience, and just write those. These you could start out with very simple stories and blogs. You can also go into what I think is called comparison, where like the title is what was that example? Sorry. For flight versus Google Sheets for digital. You can do that kind of comparison, but I wouldn't even start there. I would just start with a bunch of little stories where you go through each of these, and I can send you this list. There's
That sounds
800
great.
there's 800 of these. And by the way, they're all going to be very similar. Here, this vintage logbook, you're probably
Okay.
not going to do. And actually, only the top 20 are going to be of any real use. But let's look at other things. This is just Pilot Logbook. Let's look at, is there another reason you'd use logbook? Let's see. Let's look it up. Electronic truck logbook, trucking for truckers. So this might even give you an idea of, hey, use the same template, but for truckers. What
Yeah,
logbook
right.
loans? Wait, do people secured lending? Okay. Yeah, might want to.
Okay.
Oh, here. How many miles can you drive without a logbook? I know this is for truckers, but consider that is an interesting title.
Yeah.
How many miles can you fly without a logbook?
Yeah, right.
And what is the answer?
If you take off and land at a spot, then it doesn't matter.
So he's,
Or I think it's 20 within 25 nautical miles. Those are the Canadian rules.
so there you go. You know
The
the
American
exact
rules might be a little different.
that is like a question. I'm gonna how many miles can you fly? Let's see if anyone nobody ever quote unquote searches for this. But this is a question that you can get a featured snippet on. This, see, they have it right here,
Right.
but like without a logbook in Canada. And so write a blog that has this as the title, and then see there's no featured snippet here.
Yeah, right.
And even though Href says volume 0, that's not true all the time. I have lots of keywords. I'll show you. I have lots of keywords that are 0, but get them by volume. Gonna take a while now. Where's volume? Volume is the second column here on the second or third page. These are all ones that I'm already ranking for, and they're all over the map, like 20, 50, 80.
Interesting.
Where is this? 10, Google Sheet Mod. Maybe we need to keep going further. No zeros. Here's Google Sheet radio button. Let's see if Google Sheets.
I've seen your presentation on that because I was that.
10 volume. That's a bad example. I mean, actually, that's a good example. 10. Oh my God, this is so funny that I can't find one that says 0. Maybe they add them in after I went beyond my report limit. I added some more keywords here, like pilot flight time, pilot tracker, tracking
Ooh.
pilot, tracking pilot time. Is there other phrases that you know are that what I'm doing here is trying to figure out if we only focus on one phrase, then we have a maximum.
I guess you could say pilot PIC time. It's basically 3 words.
PIC time.
Yeah.
Is there like other terms like tracking, tracker, logging?
Total time.
What time?
Total time.
Like flight time or
Yeah.
total
Yeah, that's it.
flying time? So we're just like looking for either more total volume here, because we also have the trucking stuff, which you can always take out. Like
Right.
I added Canadian pilot or flying in Canada,
Commercial pilot.
commercial pilot license, commercial pilot school. You can add sort of more and more. And what I do is I combine these so that I can see sort of the entire cluster. And what
Right.
Ahrefs does, see, pilot school is actually more than logbook. That's pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
how long is pilot school? So you can identify a few of these. And what I used to do, and I'll tell you is sort of the wrong way, is so what I would do is I would look at all of these and then I would go through them and try to answer all of them, thinking that like, okay, if I even just get a little bit, it'll grow. But what you have to do is put on your own expertise experience and know, okay, when I was searching for this, was this something that I'm only searching for the answer to, and if I find the answer, I will walk away, which is really bad, at least in the Google Sheets world? Or is this something that I'm generally interested in, and if somebody has the answer or has more information, I am gonna like dig in, which is better than have the answer and walk away, but it's not the best. If there is any of these words that have some sort of transactional value, you'll know that they may buy from you. And it
I
doesn't
think
take a
don't.
lot.
Right.
It,
From my experience, people start looking for. They'll start with digital pilot logbook or electronic pilot logbook, and then they'll find the software that's really impressive. Do not get me wrong; it's impressive, but
yeah.
because it's just companies, so they're just going to be expensive. And then they start looking around for different options. There's some free apps. They'll try that, and they'll find me somehow.
Right. And so I would look at I would look at these, but I wouldn't take them as gospel of like, okay, I should be going top down and like how much is pilot school is actually like could be potential. I would test that out. I wouldn't invest everything in it. Even all of these like commercial pilot license requirements, this might be just one step further in front of where they are. I would figure out the like,
Yeah.
okay, I am in pilot school. I am searching for these 10 terms or 20 or 50, then put them all in keyword. Yeah, I mean, you can even email me them if you want, John, and I can put them in here. Or there's like a few free stuff. You can use Keyword Planner in Google Search Console that gives you some data from Google itself and literally is for
Okay.
planning keywords. It's not Google Search Console. Sorry, it's Google Ads. Just sign up for an ad account. You don't have to spend any money, but you can use Keyword Planner just like this. It'll give you some data back of what is the search volume, and even Google's own search volume. If it's zero, don't trust it. If you know,
Oh, okay.
it is like, okay, so this is a weird thing. I thought a year ago that I could go down this list and just keep going and rank on somewhat on many of them. That is a losing
Yeah.
proposition because it's a lot of energy, a lot of effort, and a lot of time, and you get nothing out of it.
Mm.
Instead, if you go through these and you pick out even 3 or 4 or 5, very little number, and you know, hey, this has commercial viability, meaning someone who's searching for this may buy this logbook. It has some volume. Again, it couldn't even say zero. It sort of doesn't matter. You'll test it very quickly. Own it and try to become number one. Instead of trying to become ranked for hundreds, it's by far more profitable to be ranked number one on a few than ranked in the top 100 on a lot, right? And I made this mistake. A friend of mine even sent me this list. They did exactly what I'm doing here with you, but what they did is they said, "Oh, go to H." They did exactly. I'll show you what they did, and it was wrong. It was go to Keyword Explorer, type in Google Sheets, search, go to matching terms, include how to show results, and they exported this for me. And they said, if you even go for 2,500 of these, just dominate them. These are keyword difficulty. They looked at the keyword difficulty and the volume. They said it's low keyword difficulty, high volume. If you are even ranked for these for 2,500 of them, you're gonna make. And the answer was I can make $0.
It's all sounds like a lot. 2,500 of them and trying to own. That's a full time job for a few years.
Right.
Huh.
It's like, okay,
No, I
yes,
really
these are
like that.
and these are really simple things, but what I've realized is the how to answer is the answer is what people are searching for. The intent is so important here. they're looking for that answer and that answer alone. They are not going to purchase anything. They're not going to dive deeper. They're not looking for an expert in Google Sheets. They are just like this. I just need to know this one thing and I'm out.
This has been coming up recently because I'll just mention this with, say, we're working commercial pilots. I fly some big terminals where there's a lot of pilots walking around, and the amount of pilots that I've talked to that have thousands that keep thinking, I've got to digitize, and I'm just not sure how to do it. This is the rabbit hole they'll go down to. I know about finding the quick answer. That's, wait, when was that guy born again? If you look on Google, it's your answer. You never look at it again. But this seems like, yeah, like pilot logbook, digital pilot logbook, those seem to be like that people are looking to figure out this of, I've been doing paper for years, pain, how do I solve this? And then they start looking at options.
Yeah, and I would look at, so this is, I'll share with you one more sort of strategy that I do. And this is only if you have like Hrefs or SEMrush or some other thing, is I will look through the keyword, especially if it's a low keyword difficulty volume, or there's a lowest DR ranking up to 10 in the first top 5. Now, this tells me that this helicopter pilot school has a domain rating of less than 10 in here's 21, here's 8. Perfect. So now sorry, I know this is helicopter pilot school, but maybe it is somewhat interesting. But this Helistream, I will now go to Site Explorer and I'll see what do they rank for. So I found them, they are in the top 5 of some keyword that I am also looking at. And now I will find all of their keywords that they rank for and see if there's anything that I would not have discovered otherwise.
Gotcha.
NVG training schools, license, classes, learn to fly. These might be that learn to fly might be one step ahead. But again, you're going to find these very specific key terms that I don't know the answer to, of like, I'm a pilot school. I'm getting my certification within X number of days or months. What am I searching for? Is it like, so the funny thing is, and here's another mistake that I made about a year ago and I'm fixing now. It doesn't have to be the same word as the thing you're selling. So in my case, it's Google Sheets. In your case, it's a logbook. So you don't always have to focus on that. What are you have the experience of knowing what are the other key terms that someone is like looking for, or you have the answer. Like how what's the word when you're like, you have a license, but you want to keep it, you want to renew it?
Oh, yeah, or currency. Keeping your license current.
Yeah, see, so this is keyword difficulty 4, volume 30, so it's not it's pilot license. What did you say? Current?
Yeah, it's current, recurrency. Yeah.
This is great. Yeah. See, this is a perfect example. The Hrefs has no data on this, volume 0, but there is a featured snippet. So Google thinks that, or knows people are searching for this. So this is something, this is like a key term. You can probably, and Hrefs is going to have no data on this. Let's just try this for a second. Keeping pilot, or how to keep pilot license current, or how can I keep my pilot license? I think I spelled that wrong. Let's search that. It'll probably have nothing. Yeah, 0. But it's fine. Like how keep, let's try this. Pilot matching terms. What do I need to keep my private pilot license current? Again, all of these are 0 volume. It's okay. Hrefs won't have any information on it. But do the yeah, it has a featured snippet. So Google is like, oh, the people search for this. You can also go into Keyword Planner. Actually, let's do that. There's a lot of stuff. Let's export this.
That's good.
It's in ads. I think it's in ads.google.com. Where is it? Keyword planner? You'll have to sign up for like an ads account.
Gotcha.
Nope, don't want to discover new keywords. Get search volume. Here we go. So now upload a file,
Mm.
select.
Oh, look at that.
Now these were zero volume, and again, it might show zero volume on Google too, but it's just good to check. 10 errors. It found. Oh wait, sorry, it said something different. Let me just. I think the error was not what I thought. Let's just do this. Let's one keyword error. Oh, this has more than 10 words. So weird.
Hmm.
0.
So that's
Let's try this one, logbook. Pilot log. See if it's something. No header. Oh, that's why. Sorry, this is very unfruitful.
it will be.
Too many words. 13 errors. What? Just delete those. This is also good because you can see 3-month change, year-over-year change.
Right.
So if something has a low search volume, but it's gains like pilot logbook cover, pilot logbook.
Here you go. Yep.
I don't know why those are getting 10x
Interesting.
difference between this year and yet last year, but they are. And what this is meant to be for ad campaign, what you could do is once you set up your Google Search Console and you try a few blogs, you can try to advertise on these keywords. That's one really quick, but it's very quick way to tell if those words, keywords have any potential sales is if you advertise on them, spend $10 to $100 per keyword, focus only on one keyword, have that ad, see if it gets clicks, see if it gets sales. And if it doesn't, you don't have to work on search engine optimization for it. You can say,
Right.
okay, that keyword is dead, or come back to it later if you change your offer. If you have, this is a weird thing that happens to me all the time. I rank very well for like free Google Sheet templates, or in the free world. That might not have any, I might not have a good offer for them now, or maybe I did 2 years ago, but things change over time. Maybe I just
Right.
created a template gallery, for instance, and some of those are free. Even though I don't offer them, I have linked to a free Google Sheet. So now I'm like, oh, I want to rank for that, so they come through my site. So things can always change over time.
Yeah, right. How would one fix my website problem that I don't appear in searches? Is that a back end thing?
Number one thing, well, I would say two very big things. One, just make sure you install Google Search Console. That looks like this, and it shows you your total clicks all through search, and it
Ah,
shows you your queries.
right.
And this is your measurement. You set that up now, and you're going to be looking at this every day for the next 3 to 5 years. But these changes will only show up, even though it shows up like a couple days after, you really won't make any real push and change for like 3 to 6 months. Like this shows you last 3 months, but let me show you like the last 12 months. About a year ago, I got serious about,
Mm,
and even
right.
then
Oh,
I saw jumps around January. Even though I was doing SEO for like September, October, November of 2022, I really didn't see jumps until January. And then I figured out more, and you can sort of see this January to March it goes up, but it's not until April, May, June that I'm seeing sizable increases because I was doing the work in January and February.
okay.
And
I have heard
only,
that before. It takes a while.
yeah, but the cool thing is when it's brand new, it looks low here, but they're sort of a very clear set of steps. One, Google needs to index your site, so they will scan it. They will first discover your pages. They will then index your pages, so you can see how many pages are discovered and not indexed. You can see how many pages are indexed and not ranked. It will tell you. So you go over to pages. It will tell you why pages aren't indexed. There's one of them here that is discovered, currently not indexed. So I have 38 pages. This was hundreds of pages before. And so you figure out, oh, why is this page discovered but not indexed? It's probably because it has very little text on it. It just doesn't know what to do with that page.
Okay.
Then you have these other reasons like crawled, currently not indexed. So, these pages, Google knows they exist. They have the information, but they're not indexed for any query or anything. What is the reason? Each one is going to have a different reason. Maybe you might have some dead links. You might have problems with the site. Maybe the URLs are not perfect, or the images are too large. Oh, text is too small. It could be so many different things. There's 404 errors. There's 500 errors, server errors on a page here. So this page, I can see, yeah, this has a server error because it's not even available anymore. And so then once you do get discovered, then crawled, then indexed, then ranked, now you can see, okay, what am I ranking for? What does Google think I'm good at? By impressions, you'll start to get impressions. Google will put you in all over the place. They're just going to test out because there's quote unquote so many searches every day and every minute. So they're just going to put you in random places, see who clicks. So if you see a lot of impressions and no clicks, Google's trying. And maybe they got it wrong. Maybe that keyword is wrong. And you're like, oh, how do I fix that? You can fix it by editing the page, editing the H1 title, editing the title, the H1s, the H2s, giving Google more information of what should this rank for, internal linking on your site. So if you know, okay, here's this pillar page, I want everybody to go here, then put a link to that page on every single other page. Make a footer. Do you have a footer right now? No. So the footer is the best place to go. That's why I made on every single page, there are internal links to the key pages all in my footer. These are the pages that I want Google to definitely.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a header up here that has some more links. And these are the key pages that I want Google to link to and look at. So I link to it on every single page. So if I go to now tools, now these links are all still here and the footer is all here. So these are all links on this page to those.
See, the problem I got with my site is it's basically a brochure for one. So I've got everything to do with stuff. There's the coaching.
Yeah, it's all fine.
And so it's like, there you go. To start pathways for people now to digital products, or do you need help with clients and that sort of stuff?
So all of these things are perfectly, this is the home page. You might want to deal with this. Like, is home the same as this? So these two pages are exactly the same and it might be duplicate. No, are they duplicate? They're not duplicates, but have like one of them be the home and not say home. But all of these, add it to your footer so that on every single page, these are linked to.
Right.
So now on training, I should have down here. Is that you? That's not you, right?
No, these are just galleries of people I've trained. Just the idea of don't focus on me, people that I've actually trained.
Oh, you should say that. I don't know what this is. But in the footer,
see, there we go. This is what I need.
Make the footer like something that like people will like. What are people searching for? And you'll know. Oh, get training. Put the logbook.
Yeah.
Is this a link?
How do I fix it?
I don't know what.
No, it's not.
It says it's a link. Oh no, it's copied to clipboard. Don't know what that is. What
Yeah,
you said? This is a Google Sites page.
Yeah, I might have been using the wrong text. I definitely need to go over some.
I mean, I like Ghost.
How do I fix that?
I don't know, but I like Ghost for blogs. This is super easy to set up. Or honestly, WordPress is even better because it has a huge community and lots of plugins you can add.
Right.
Ghost, I find, is just much. What do I find? I find it simpler, less cumbersome, but it still has its own. I mean, it's a CMS, but choose whatever CMS you want. But yeah, the first step is just to get Google Search. I mean, without doing any changes, just get Google Search Console set up because you have the domain. I mean,
no, yeah, it feels the way you talked about is that there's like people in these terms, but I'm not coming up anywhere. And
Mhm.
so you're suggesting blogs and SEO, basically.
Yeah, but SEO is much more than blogs, but I would start with some very simple text around, especially because you have just no domain authority at all. I would do something that is 100% written by you, 100% like is the answer. I wouldn't optimize it too much. I would just think about that keyword, have it in your H1, have it in a couple of H2s, have it organically around, and I wouldn't optimize too much. Again, just to try to build real authority from your experience and expertise. I would write 1 to 2 a day, maybe publish 3 a week or more. I mean, I also have done weird things where I will just publish one new thing every single day. Sorry, are we still here? I think
There we go. Oh,
you can hear me.
there we go. Hey.
Sorry, yeah. To wrap this up, what was the last thing that I said that you heard?
Oh, that 3 times per week, and then you said you did this crazy thing where you're trying to publish once a day.
Yeah, and I've done that where I publish once a day. And if you get on a good roll, like there's nothing wrong with publishing one a day that's to one keyword. But I would advise you, because you want to see results and you don't want to sort of just blog into the void, is instead of publishing once a week, once a day, publish 2 to 3 times a week and use the other time to set up that. You're only gonna have to do it once or twice, but set up that pipeline. Make sure you have Google
Right.
Search Console set up. Make sure you have the influx of new keywords that you're like. Just take a search through look through those keywords. If something pops, just start writing. Use that energy as momentum to keep going, but don't hassle yourself to have to write. Sit down and write for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Use that energy to like, okay, am I able to go and take the new page that I just published and put it into Google Search Console to prioritize indexing? That's super important. Am I putting internal do past articles have links to future articles? So you have internal linking.
Oh, yeah, right.
That also allows you to add another 50 to 100 words of past articles. If you're like, hey, this article is only like 400 words. Oh, here's 4 other articles you may want to read and 50 words of why. You're the one who has this expertise. So you know someone reading this is going to read that. Don't just say, hey, go read it. Give them 50 words. Here's why you might want to read this other article. You know why they're reading this.
Would it would it be a problem if I wrote in Ghost and then just linked to my website? Would that be an issue, or should I
Uh,
do everything in the
Ghost
website?
is, you can do a custom domain. So I have blog.bettersheets.co is Ghost.
Oh, okay.
So it's your domain and it's a subdomain.
Right.
That's why I might look at like WordPress. If you want a subdirectory, it's better for SEO than a subdomain. But honestly, like when you're starting it, I would prioritize ease of getting stuff out there and getting ranked.
What is the problem I'm having where I've got to put HTTPS in front of my website to even
I
come
don't
up?
know. I don't know the answer to that.
Just trying to figure out how to find what, because I
It
have
might be a Google
yeah,
Sites problem. It may be a Google Sites problem. It might be
mm,
a domain registrar problem. Who do you use for your domain registrar?
Google. I use everything through Google.
Google Domains doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, what am I doing? I'm trying to think. I from what I remember using it, it started with Google Sites, and then I just picked a domain and I pay Google every month for the website.
I would check wherever your registrar is then. Maybe that's the reason.
There could be the problem right there.
I use name.com, but it's not the cheapest. Namecheap is the cheapest. There's like something you can do where it's just like takes 1 minute. You take the www dot and you redirect it to the main site and you just make sure
Yeah.
that things are redirecting. And HTTPS problem is going to be a SSL certificate problem, which may be part of your registrar.
Okay.
But again, these things
It gives me a place to start.
they don't take a long time to fix. It's like a
Yeah.
setting.
Right. Yeah. It's one box being clicked or something.
Yeah, or like an email being sent. Like I get emails all the time of like, your SSL certificate is expiring soon. And I'm like, huh? What? Okay, how do
Yeah.
I renew this? Okay, I do this, this, and this.
I get video indexing problems for the website quite a bit.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what to, and I just click boxes to say fix the problem, and they fix it. Okay. This gives me a lot to start working with. This is good. And it's funny because I kept wanting to flex my Google Sheets muscles in other areas, but aviation just, it's where the world keeps telling me stick with aviation. It's where my audience is.
But it may be aviation because you have that experience, but it also, looking at those things, I mean, I bet trucker logbooks might be a total distraction, but I'm actually wondering what that kind of stuff is like.
It's a huge market, and their format is so odd, and it's visual. Like it's lines over. You basically put the hours of the day along the bottom, and then you go driving, not driving, driving, not driving, driving. It's strange. I was in that world in the pandemic for about a year and a half, and it never became intuitive to me. But it is a huge market, and they have to do it. Like there's no question. It's
Right.
why people get pulled over and their paperwork checked.
That's so funny. Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity here for you in SEO. Those people that are looking for you, you already have good word of mouth. You already have customers. Like maximizing that is just going to be fruitful, right? You already have the fruit on the tree. You just sort of need to climb higher.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks so
Cool.
much for your help. I really, really appreciate it. It's the latest help you've given, whether it's articles, you're always a good resource to, if I need a quick thing like, radio buttons is one of them.
Awesome. Thanks so
And I
much.
thieved one of your ideas for baby pilots. I
Baby
did a
pilots.
resume audit. Yeah, I just said, here, send me your resume. I'll give you a quick audit. And just kind of, I'm trying to remember. You had to send me your sheets, and I can't remember what it
Yeah,
was.
that's awesome.
It was a video series. It's great. Fantastic.
It's not on your website. You should put that on your website.
I should. It's on my YouTube page, but I know
Right.
other stuff, but I really should do that. It was 3 minutes and it worked out great. Pilot
Oh,
was very happy.
fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you again.
I think I did sheet roast, right?
That's it. It
Yeah.
is the sheet roast. Yeah.
I
Which
didn't
was
call it.
great because you weren't really roasting. You were just giving great feedback and just
It felt like I was
move this
roasting,
stuff here. Ah.
but it was great. That's funny. I was trying to roast it and it ended up giving good feedback.
Great feedback.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. Enjoy. Let me know how this goes. Again, I really would. The purpose of this is not to just be a one and done. It's to be like, okay, here's something we can fix. If you can now like work on it, and we come back in a couple months and make another video and see how you're doing. Be awesome.
You got it. I got some work to do. Yeah. I'll keep you updated,
Thanks, Sean.
and any feedback, I really appreciate it. I really do.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too.